Hello everyone, thanks again for clicking this video. My name is MC Miriam Lux and today I'm going to talk about a very controversial topic which everybody's concerned about nowadays. This is about the Afghanistan war, about the Taliban attitude, how the Biden administration made this kind of decision about sending troops away from it, and basically everything. But most importantly, I'm going to tell you about my own kind of presumptions about the contemplation from the Biden and the United States side and whether he was correct or not. Because nowadays our planet has been divided into two parts. One side is saying that yeah, Biden's decision was actually awesome and he risked it because not any other president of the United States of America was able to risk it and venture it. But the other part is saying that he shouldn't have actually risked it that much because it was not worth it. So just now I'm going to tell you about what do I actually think about this. But before I start talking about this, I want to say that there's one very indispensable question asked here that most of people are asking, majority of people. So why did actually Biden make this decision after 2 decades, 20 years of kind of stabilization of the situation? So basically, when I tried to find more information about this, I found out that from Biden's speech, as well as he's trying to express his opinion, he's saying that the main reason why they actually did this was that he said that, we lost lots of lives, thousands of American personnel was involved in this agonizing process, and they're damaged, injured, they were fighting for themselves and for their nation. So I just quoted it. So basically, if you're saying that, that means that the only main reason why that he made this venturing decision right now was to try to avoid his own nation from this kind of danger occurring in Afghanistan war. So if we watch this from one side, it's quite well that he's trying to protect his own nation. But let's watch it from another side also. Well, actually, this is not about only protection of your own nation. Here, you were involved in this process with your own desire. As well as we know, this 9/11 was very important accident when it was people were actually suspicious and they were trying to investigate who was the main person and the main leader of the group who tries to bomb and make this 9/11 accident happen in the United States of America. And after that was the reason why the U.S. took the responsibility and accountability to try to involve in the process of Afghanistan political situation. And that was the reason why they tried to show their desire to maintain democracy in the country, and they took the Taliban out of the authority and brought Afghans back to the authority. So that's a kind of a situation where you realize that this was not only about this current situation in Afghanistan, about Taliban's war and how the Taliban are trying to control the situation, but also about the U.S. involvement. So when you're trying to get involved in some kind of process, in some kind of situation, you should also know that you're getting the responsibility, you're getting the liability, and you cannot actually get out of the situation so easily and so quickly. Because after 2 decades maintaining the peace, you have to try to continue as much as possible. But if you change your mind and try to get out of a situation, you should also think to leave and evade from this process as peacefully as possible. Because when you're the leader, when you're a political figure, when you're the president of the United States of America, you have to show your political ideology. You have to show how strong you are and how strong a chief of the country you actually are. And not just about being crazily awesome that, yeah, man, I was only the first country who was able to make this decision. Not even Trump, not even Obama, not even any president was able to do it, and only I was able to do it. No, here's not a deal. This is not a deal. This is about how you will be able to try to really solve the insurmountable problem, not about that you did it, but how did you actually do it. So secondly, I also have to mention not only Biden, but also all these different organizations, including the NATO and international organizations, trying to maintain international peace after the World War II. So their obligation is to try to maintain placidity and impassiveness. But what are you actually doing? I don't see any kind of peace in the world. I see that Israel-Palestine war is continuing. I see that Yemen war still continues. I see Afghanistan war still continues. What are you doing? If you call yourself the leading country, you call yourself the most influential one, what are you actually doing? I cannot see anything. Everything, there's even you are the provocative of everything. You're trying to provoke all this wars. You're getting involved. You're trying to say that, yeah, I'm going to solve it, but you're not actually doing anything, but you're doing everything reversing this fact. Vice versa. You're trying to call yourself yeah, I'm trying to maintain democracy. I am the one who's trying to be showing the blueprint of democracy. But wait a minute. The United States of America is no longer showing democracy. And here we got a very serious problem. They're trying to accuse China about not being democratic, but I'm so sorry. This is not only the deal that, for example, there's human rights violation in that country, or for example in Russia, or for example in the European Union, or in Japan. It doesn't really matter. Your country has got a very problems of hospitalization service immigration policies, and even a lot of different issues. For example, as the Green New Deal from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, about the Green New Deal to trying to change this climate change issues, to try to solve the poverty in America, and it's like a very big issue. But what I want to say is that Biden is no longer able to try to govern a country. He's just now blaming Trump that because of Trump had his negotiation with the Taliban in May 1, that was the reason why he made his decision. But wait a minute, Trump has said that before that time, he actually talked with the Taliban before he would make a decision. But I don't know why he changed his opinion and didn't make it any longer. But the fact is that I really think that I do not really know what was that in the negotiation, was that in the meeting, but actually Trump would make everything different. I'm not a Trumpist, I'm not a Republican, I'm not even a Democrat. I'm actually kind of to be a progressive Democrat, but in that kind of issue, I want to tell you that if Trump was there, I really think that even if he's a businessman, even if he's not a politician, he would still not do it that way. So I still think that Biden should have actually talked to both of the sides, both the positions, to try to solve this problem before he would do all these kind of things. Because it's very important to mention that if you're trying to do this kind of thing, you should talk to both sides that, hey, wait a minute, they actually anticipated this. The U.S. Secretary of State official, Blinken, has said that, yeah, they knew that this would actually happen, and they actually anticipated the fact, and they contemplated that this would actually happen. And the Taliban controlling of the situation happened even earlier than the Washington had actually thought. So another important issue here, that if they actually knew, they knew that this was actually happening in Afghanistan. They were supporting Afghanistan. They were trying to back them. And they knew that when they would take the troops out, there would be like a very big chaos and turmoil in Afghanistan. So I'm going to ask you a question. If you're trying to be a friendly person to Afghanistan and you're trying to support this peace and placidity, then what are you doing right now? You try to venture all the chaos and all this kind of adversarial situation to happen in the country. And so that actually, I want to ask you a question for even Georgians, for us. It will play a very major role. Because if the United States was able to really just simply don't care about what will happen in Afghanistan, because they only cared about their own country. And even think about Ukraine, when there's like the same issue about when the occupation of Russia was trying to govern and show its influence on Ukraine and about the border issue, the United States showed its support towards Ukraine. And just then, when Ukraine asked to become the part of NATO in order to strengthen its powers against Russia, the United States said no. So I want to ask a question that if, for example, we had such a kind of situation that the United States actually really don't care about anything, how can we, Georgians, rely on this political partner in the United States? What can actually happen, for example, if Russia really tries to, show its more influence on us, as well as when that the borders like all the time getting like much more closer and closer, and what should we actually do if the United States is trying to really don't fancy about Ukraine issue, about Afghanistan issue, and they actually venture to let those countries be in a chaos? How can we protect ourselves, and how can we be protected? NATO doesn't care, nobody cares, everything continues. What are we gonna do? How should we actually make sure, how should we be convinced that we will be protected in any kind of situation? If, for example, any kind of war happens in our country, and we know that geopolitically we are a very important country, from Turkey, from Russia, from all our neighbors, everyone is concerned about us. And even now we've seen that so many countries wanted to show their influence in our territories. And who was backing us? Who was backing us? No one was backing us. Where is the U.S. Embassy? Where are the ambassadors? If something happens, we want to have a guarantee that we will be safe. Thank you so much, and thank you for listening to me. And I got a little bit emotional, but still I just have to hurry to be as brief as possible. And thank you so much for listening to me. Titi Magloba. My name is MC Miriam Lux, and I'm very grateful for you to listen to me. And also comment down your opinions about this. What do you actually think about if the United States is not so reliable partner? How can we actually ensure that we will also be protected in any kind of case? Thank you so much. Bye.